Back at you with another video. So you've decided to go to the wilderness. The wilderness is really not the place to bring your beautiful gear like you see here. Yes, I do use inventory tags for Soul Wars actually. So this would be like some gear that you definitely would not want to bring to the wilderness. Your gilded dragon hide. What we're going to do is make our way to the bank and show you the rest of the gear and what that looks like. And one other cool room light feature I use in the wilderness is NPC aggression timer. So this is the time when the NPCs will become unaggressive. And if you zoom out, it's basically like two map areas. So if I'm in this area and I walk over here, I will de-aggro this range and keep that box and so on. So you can see how that works. Very useful plugin. Again, NPC aggression timer. Okay, so definitely want to bank the gear that we have on. Now, if you're a free-to-play player, you're gonna be you'll want to have the full green D-hide trim, but green D-hide is going to give you very good defenses against magic, relative for free-to-play, that is. Now, if you're going in the wilderness, the general rule is you want to wear the black D-hide. This will prevent people from teleblocking you easily and also give you a chance to escape. Notably, as you can see here, I have all this inventory here, but these pieces are very heavy. So black D-hide, 6 and 5 kilos respectively. Might want to carry a stamina dose when you're out there. So one thing that you can do to kind of improve your offense at the cost of your magic defense is equipping rune gloves. These are very cheap, very inexpensive, and a great way to get some melee strength. If you're going to upgrade at the cost of usually a more expensive item, Barrow's gloves provide a marginal benefit. Again, with these Barrow's gloves having a much higher alch value, they protect over certain, sometimes more expensive items, so you may not want to bring those. You may want to stick to either the black D-hide or the rune gloves. Really, Barrow's gloves if you want a maximum protection for your setup. Moving on to the cape slot, so you do have a couple choices here. Number one, you have the assemblers, or I should say the Ava's devices, the accumulator, which I believe you unlock with 50 ranged, and of course the assembler, which gives the bonus to range strength in addition. Notably, you will lose the assembler if you go into the wilderness, so I happen to have extra warcraft heads, but if you don't, stick to bringing your accumulator. That'll work very well. Again, this has a magic defense, so that's why you would bring this. It's to prevent people from teleblocking you or freezing you. If you don't have the quest for animal magnetism, one option is something like a god cloak, a bando's cloak. These typically can be a little more expensive, so I don't really recommend this. But if you don't have any other free item or any other item from achievement diaries, things like that, these cloaks are good. They offer prayer bonus, +3, and then magic defense. So if you haven't done, the next cape I'd recommend would be the the Mage Arena 1 cape. You can see +10 versus a measly, +3. This is going to be a much better defensive option. And again, these are unlimited in the wilderness, so you don't have to worry about paying money for these. As an alternative, if you need like stab damage or you really want the extra prayer bonus, an Ardougne Cloak. I have Ardougne Cloak 3, so that's +5, +6 with the 4. But any of these are going to be really good. And all of these have the monastery teleport, which will work up to level 20. So great piece of equipment to bring if you are worried about your teleport. And you're only going up to level 20. As far as your necklace slot, typically I use range in the wilderness, but I like to go with an all-around amulet. So an amulet of glory. These are alc value at this point, around 13,000 coins, and for the bonuses that they give you, especially offensively, and the prayer, that's big. Prayer bonus is really going to help you in the wilderness. If you're killing revenants, I'm typically using the salve EI, although you could use an avarice, an amulet of avarice. If you don't mind being skulled in the wilderness, an avarice will be superior to the salve, but I typically only use the glory or the salve amulet if I'm feeling very risky and I'm only risking, let's say, a few items. So I might actually bring the anguish, which, as you can see, sacrifices everything for strictly range bonus and range strength. But with enough of a setup, you can actually have a little bit of tankiness. And if you bring something like a Mage Arena 2 cape, then an imbued god cape, you can actually have plus 15 defense. So plus 15 over the plus 10 of the regular god cape will help you out a lot. So already you can see we're plus 92, and we don't even have the complete setup. Adding a coif, these are 11, 10 coins on the Grand Exchange. Everyone uses Snakeskin. I understand that Snakeskin has a higher range attack bonus of by +1. This is +2. Snakeskin is +3, but this has the same magic defense of +4 as an actual gilded coif. So this is what I would typically equip if I'm going out into the wilderness. If I want more melee defense, I have this ram skull. I'm not sure where this is from. I believe this is from the Rag and Bone Man 2 quest. You can choose both rewards from an update, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm almost 99% sure. So sometimes I wear this. This is like an adamant full helm without any mage decrease. So as an alternative to the coif, if you're using magic or you just need slightly more armor. And now it comes down to which boots do you want to wear. So number one is climbing boots. I feel like these are the most accessible boots. You simply need to complete Death Plateau. You have a strength bonus. You have a strength bonus. And hey, these are basically free. I think there are 12 coins from the NPC that sells them. They're probably 600 on the GE or so. So buying them in bulk from the NPC and just storing them up is the best way to go. These are perfectly interchangeable. Snakeskin boots offer the +3 range increase at the cost of magic accuracy decrease of -7. So if you really want that extra range hit, you can opt for the snakeskin. But in most cases, climbing boots are better because you'll use the melee strength, especially if you're anti-PKing. When I'm using mage, although they have a -3 magic, you'll want to use these white boots. They have the +1, and the GE. These actually are very inexpensive on the Grand Exchange. So they're around 6,000, and if you pair this with, these are kind of like your budget holy sandals or devout boots, so you get a free +1. So that's why I bring these when I'm using mage. Something like the crazy archaeologist. So Fremenic sea boots are another choice because they're free. you really don't get any benefit from these unless you have the Sea Boots 4, because then they have the +1s here instead of -3, -1. So I would be wearing these all the time, except not these, the Fremennik Boot 4. Um, they are very good. A more expensive option that I've recently tried out in the wilderness are the Boots of Brimstone. Now these are around 400, 500K, but they offer, as you can see, excellent defensive and offensive bonuses. And I imagine that I may use these somewhere else in the future, like the Cerulean Slayer dungeon, before I have the Tier 4 Rada's Blessing. So, Boots of Brimstone, probably the most expensive boots I would bring into the wilderness at any time. The climbing boots are going to be better when you need that strength bonus. But again, if you're going for defense, and I don't have a shield in the inventory, but if you're going for defense, I want to show you the rings at the end. But this is definitely a setup that you can go and minimize risk while still protecting yourself, as you can see from damage. The ring choice is a very interesting choice because you really have two choices, in my opinion. You have the Beacon Ring, which is a free ring from a quest. That's got the +1 defense, +2 offensive magical bonus. Not sure if this is going to save anyone's life, but it is a good ring, and it does have a different equip animation noise. So, not recording my audio here, but it does have a different sound when you equip it. The alternative is the Explorer's Ring. All of them have +1 prayer. I haven't done Bones to Peaches, so that's why I still have the second one. But once I do that, I'll have all four, like the complete set. So you'll want to use the Explorer's Ring in almost every case when you're using prayer. If you need magic resistance and you think that the +1 is worth it, again, this is a free ring. It's like a budget Sears ring. Doesn't cost you anything. You just get it from Zaf, the staff seller, when you need a new ring, when you get PK'd in the wilderness. Notably, so the Dragonhide armor was nerfed, so we can see here +25 stab, +9 slash, +15 crush, +5 magic, and +5 range for the God D'hide body. I have the Armadillo here versus the Black D'hide. So definitely a big melee defense upgrade. Magic also +5. That's probably going to be your biggest jump. And then the chaps, same situation, much higher melee defense, and then the +5 magic and range. If you're going into the wilderness looking like this, I would highly encourage you to, bring a one-click teleport, something like a Royal Seed Pod. Definitely be quick on the log out, because even with this setup, you would be risking, let's say you have a weapon and you're not risking the anguish, the assembler, and the gloves, so you'd still be risking all of the armor. So that's why, I mean, even going down to something like this, Black D'hide versus the Armadillo that I have, or not, well, it's Armadillo, but it's not Arma, it's God D'hide. You can see the range and magic defense, pretty significant drop off, but that is the price you pay for that extra protection. Notably, I always bring the Unholy Book +8 to all your offensive stats, +5 to prayer. It's just not worth it, in my opinion, to get the +2 for the Book of Darkness or the +2 for the Book of Law, unless you're exclusively using those attack styles. The reason for that is if I am PKing or more likely anti-PKing in the wilderness, I want to have good prayer bonus, and I don't want to have to worry too much about switching gears as much as I want to worry about switching prayers and eating food. So that is why the Book of Law, rather the Unholy Book, Book of Law is the defensive equivalent. The Unholy Book is what I bring. The Book of Law, I believe that is the Book of Law, is it the Mage? Okay, so that is the range book. Okay, so if you are going out, and again, I have inventory tags, I turn them off usually, but if you have this set up, personally, I don't believe that bringing the Book of Darkness with the +10 is worth it again, unless you're exclusively using Mage. These are just so inexpensive now that I have all of them unlocked, and I also have the Holy Book. If you really want a pure defensive setup and you're really not going to fight back, this may or may not help. You may be better off bringing something like a Black D'Hide Shield. Won't get you any prayer bonus, but that will be beneficial. That's really the whole setup. So, like I said, the usual gear loadout that I'm going to use in the wilderness is going to look something like this. So I will bring this amount of risk. I don't recommend that people bring more simply because the diminishing returns from those higher tier defensive items are just not worth it in my opinion. In this gear setup, I banked the rings, but you'd have your beacon ring or explorer's ring. You might have your ammunition here, so your Rada's Blessing 2 or better for the prayer bonus. If you don't have a Rada's Blessing, you can use a God Blessing, but it's probably not worth bringing for the extra money. You can just use the free blessing or ammo, and then your weapon, whatever weapon you want to use. I would personally never bring anything more than like a dragon scimitar into the wilderness for melee, um, just because it's very, very good, and upgrading to something like a whip or beyond probably isn't worth it for your wilderness adventures unless you're really confident that you're not going to get skulled. So yeah, that's the setup. Please, please remember to utilize your quick prayers as well. So on your character, I have the quick prayers set to protect item, protect from magic, and you can use one of these 3 defensive spells if you have them to increase your defense by 25. Otherwise, Augury is going to be your best bet in every case because it increases both your magic defense and your regular defense. So what that would look like is this. So you would toggle it on. I see a PKer. I throw on the quick prayer, and then I get running to the 30 line where I click my seed pod or use my glory to escape. And lastly, again, a fairly recent update, but PK skull prevention on, so this should be a green checkbox. This will ensure in almost every case, unless you're barraging or accidentally hitting some kind of target in multi-combat using a Chinchomp or another attack, this will prevent you from sculling. So make sure you have this on. I keep player attack options to left click because if I do need to fight back, you better believe that I don't have the time to right click and click attack. I want to be able to fight back. So that's it. Stay safe in the wilderness. Wear your cheap defensive gear. Don't spend too much money.